One of the most powerful questions that I like to ask professionals is, what are the 5 or 6 things that you wish your customers knew? What are the things that if they knew this earlier in their life would be better? And so today, as a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years, I'm going to share with you my list, not a 5, not a 6, but actually 8 of the things that I wish everybody knew, and I think would make their financial lives better. So let's jump in. The first one is the concept of productive debt versus destructive debt. Not all debt is bad, and there are financial gurus that will say all debt is bad. And I disagree with that. I think a mortgage for a reasonably sized home, a mortgage that you can afford to pay, that you've done the numbers on, I think that is productive debt. A loan in order to maybe buy a rental property, that is productive debt. It's going to generate income for you. Destructive debt is, frankly, it's junk that you put on your credit card to buy. You go to the mall for the weekend, and a couple days later, the bill comes and you can't even remember what you spent the money on. That's destructive debt, and unfortunately, destructive debt tends to be super expensive too. So just think through that and be careful with the destructive debt. Okay, the next thing is just some of the fundamentals about investing. First, it's obviously, as a financial advisor, it's important that people save money, and shockingly, half of Americans that make over $100,000 a year don't save a dime, right? But it's not enough to just save. Yes, if you're in that category where you're not saving anything, do what you have to do. I've got lots of videos that talk about this, but do what you have to do to start saving money. Start small, but start saving. But it's not enough to just save. You also have to invest. And so here's some things I want people to know about investing. First, the goal is to beat inflation, to do better than inflation at a minimum with your investments, unless it's money that you're going to need in the next 2 years, maybe for a tax bill, or you and your spouse are saving up money to buy a home. That money, because the timeline is so short, you may be able to beat inflation. But job number one is don't lose that money that you're working really hard to save up. But outside of that, the goal is to beat inflation, because then you get compounding working in your favor. Every year, your money starts working a little bit harder for you. And believe it or not, at some point in your life, your money's going to be working harder for you than you are to put fresh, new money into your account. And that's a joyous feeling when we get there. The next thing about investing is asset allocation. I want people to understand, people spend so much time looking at the details, but the reality is your asset allocation, how much of your portfolio is going to be invested in stocks, how much or exchange-traded funds, mutual funds, equities, and how much is going to be invested in things that are more stable, things like short duration, high-quality corporate bonds. That asset allocation decision is going to determine 80% of your success. But oftentimes, people just slap it on at the end and say, I should be 100% stocks or 50% stocks. Don't let that happen to you. I want you to be thoughtful and deliberate. And whether you consider yourself a do-it-yourselfer and you want to do it on your own, I really encourage you to get with a professional to see, did you get your asset allocation right? Because that's the one question that's going to determine your success. So it's worth paying somebody for a few hours of work. Look up a fee-only financial advisor, work with somebody near you, somebody that will invest the time to get to know you and help you make the decision on your asset allocation. Okay, the next thing about investing is the whole concept of risk. We've been taught that what risk is we watch the nightly news on our computers now. A few of us sit up and watch on our television the nightly news, but we see the market's up, we see the market's down. Is that what risk is, right? It's basically in any given day, it's about a 50-50 chance whether the market's going to be up or down, but reporters are always looking for, why is the market up today? Why is the market down? My canned answer for why is the market up today is there were more buyers than there were sellers. Why is the market down tomorrow? Well, there were more sellers than there were buyers. And any one given day, it's really hard to know. But that's what I want you to know high level about investing. Okay, the next one is about the value of time. We all know if you start saving at 20, it's a lot easier than I can start saving at 40, but that's only part of it. The other part of it is time is a wonderful tool to buffer the volatility, that the ups and downs that you see in the stock market. I said earlier, in any one given trading day, it's about 50-50. It's a slight favor of the market going up versus down, but it's about a coin toss. But here's what I like about time. If you look at these results on a day-to-day basis, it's 50-50 whether it's going to go up or down. But over a month or over a quarter or over a year, if you extend it out to a decade, 10 years, you have over an 80% likelihood of your money having worked for you and actually grown in real purchasing dollars. And if you look at that over 20 years, you almost have 100% likelihood of that doing better and actually growing in real dollar terms. So time is a wonderful tool, because most of the things as a financial advisor that we have to buffer volatility to dampen out that up and down, most of those things are also going to dampen down your long-term results. But the nice thing about time is it doesn't dampen down, it doesn't reduce what's likely going to be your long-term results. I need to say, none of this is financial advice. It's certainly not investing advice. I don't know your situation, and I encourage you to do a Google search, find a fee-only financial advisor, somebody that's a fiduciary to you 100% of the time that you can work with. Okay, let's keep going. The next thing that I wish people knew is just the value of simple versus complex. And that sounds like a silly statement, right? But when it comes to investing, simple is so much more powerful than complex. But the challenge is these complex investment tools, they pay a really nice commission to the salespeople. So complex tools are designed to be sold, not purchased. And so these are just various Wall Street tools, options, derivatives, things like that. I'm a big fan of let's keep it as simple as we can. Let's take on no more complexity than what we need to. And if you happen to be a really intelligent person, be careful, because you're more at risk of being sold these complex tools, because the salespeople, they know what they're doing. They're very well paid and they're very good. And they're gonna play on that. Hey, you're so smart. I'm impressed that you can understand this. But simple is better than complex. And also, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy, right? If it was easy, we'd all have six-pack abs and have perfect bodies, because, how do you lose weight? How do you have your ideal body weight, right? You just eat less calories than what you expend. And you lift heavy things at the gym, and you try to keep your heart in shape by doing some jogging and doing some stretching. Very simple in concept, but certainly not easy to do in execution. Okay, the next one, this is really important. The next one is money is a tool. Money is a tool to do things for you, such as, when you have some money, really the goal there is to be able to support the people you love, put a roof over their head, food on the table, and give them some security and safety. That's some money. And then as we start to get more money, we can spend some of that money for experiences, right? This is a tool. This is energy that we use to make money so that we can then do things that we're going to enjoy. Experiences like going on vacation or traveling or going out to eat more frequently with friends, things like that. And then once you have enough money, then enough money gives you freedom. And if you get enough money in your 30s or 40s, do I think you should retire early in your 30s and 40s? I can't tell you. I don't know you. But in general, that's a whole lot of time to be retired. But it gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it, and even where you want to do it. So money ultimately can get us freedom. And I think that's one of the biggest and best uses of money, in addition to supporting causes and people that we love. And I would argue, an author by the name of Bill Perkins would agree with me, that unused money is wasted energy that you put in order to be able to create that. So he wrote a book called Die with Zero. His name's Bill Perkins. I encourage you to read it. Okay, number 6, what do I wish you knew? And stick around for the next two, because they're probably the most important. Number 6 is the 4 most dangerous words for somebody thinking about retiring, somebody getting close to retiring. The 4 most dangerous words are just one more year. I can't tell you how many of my clients have been sucked into that. And it's very tempting, right? It's the siren song of the sea, and it's the siren song for would-be retirees. And, the problem with that, and this leads into the next point, so I'm going to blend the two together. Let me talk on the next point, and then I'll blend them together. If we're 60 years old, we likely have less than 1,000 weeks remaining of healthy, active time. And that's not a lot of time. And the problem with that just one more year is that's likely going to be one of your healthiest and most active years. So what you're giving up is something very precious. I'm not saying you don't do it, but I'm saying appropriately value what you're giving up, which is one of your healthiest and most active years of retirement. And is what you're being offered, work more, we'll give you 25, 33% more than what you were making before. That sounds pretty good. That's a really nice raise, kind of in that term, right? But what are you giving up? And is it worth it to you? And only you can answer that question. Okay, the next one, and this is a killer of wealth on so many fronts, right? And that is keeping up with the Joneses. By the time you get to your 50s or 60s, for goodness sakes, quit trying to impress your neighbors. I'll let you know a secret. Your neighbors don't care. Your neighbors aren't watching as much as you think they are. So if you want to buy something because it's going to bring you joy, great, do it. You've worked hard for your money. Understand what you're sacrificing, make sure you can afford it. But spend that money if it brings you joy. But if you're spending money, or even worse, if you're borrowing money to buy things to impress your neighbors that frankly don't care, I think that's a big mistake. So I don't want to see that happen to you. And I also think it's a big mistake to not enjoy the decade before, the 20 years before you get to retirement. And for that reason, I want you to watch this video here, which are 7 things that I want you to think about stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy the journey more. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.